Good evening and welcome back to the West Ham Late Late Show with Anton and Stel. How you doing? Of course, I'm Anton and I'm joined by Stel. Friday night, Stel, how you doing? You got a beer ready?
Good. No. I had a beer earlier whilst I was watching the game, and I can't be asked to have a beer at the moment. Too late. Not that I'm doing anything tomorrow apart from watching England. But no beer. I might have one later. It depends on how long we go on for.
Do you mean later as in later tonight?
Yeah, I mean, if we go on as long as I did yesterday when I was meant to do a daily and it ended up being a 2-hour fucking chinwag about Declan, then I might feel desperate enough to crack open a fucking beer. You never know.
Listen, for anyone that's slagging off the music, it was Stel's choice. So
no, you know what? You've done well. You've done well.
I've done well. Stop.
No, you really have. I mean, I'm glad you're finally taking my advice and listening to me about thumbnails and music and all that sort of stuff. Because if people don't know, I mean, you have based it on a theme, which I mean, for you, it's pretty good going because you're not that very artistic, really. You're a bit of a
So myself and Stel have a bit of a banter on the go. So basically, if you ever remember back in the 1960s, 1970s, when a lot of the kind of mainstream houses were built in all these kind of cities, etc., and then in these houses they had these really crazy terracotta coloured bathrooms, and Stel's designs tend to relate to these terracotta, really bright coloured.
People have got no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
So what I've done is I've brought in a little modern twist, which is what Stel needs to learn about, and he's doing well. And I've credited him a lot recently with a lot of he's listening and he's paying attention.
I'm listening. Thank God you're listening,
doing well.
mate.
I'll hold my hands up, Stel. I'll hold my hands up and say, listen.
You hold your hand up that you normally dish out a hell of a lot of shit. Thumbnails and stuff like that, and you're finally taking note and you're finally beginning to understand when I talk to you about design and and branding, the importance of branding for the channel. You're finally waking up and you're beginning to realize that I'm right, and I'm usually right all the time.
Sometimes when I look at your content, sometimes I look at your content still. I literally look like I've been on a night out. I'm really drunk and I've spewed all over your thumbnail, and that's what sometimes I see.
You're happy now, and that's why you can't see any of my stuff looking any decent because you're pissed. So it's got nothing to do with my design. It's just got to do with you being pissed all the time. So there you go.
Anyway, we are here for a West Ham chat show. So this is this idea has evolved a little bit, if I'm being brutally honest. So we've got an idea with the Late Late Show that I think at some point we will evolve to it. However, we kind of impromptu show last week late at night and had a bit of a chinwag, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. So we thought, well, just if we can, we'll try and bring it back to you as much as we can. And really, there's no structure, there's no full-blown script like we do.
As people have just realised. There is no structure.
But there's always West Ham stuff to talk about. It's funny, Stel was texting me today saying if there's never been a day where there's been no news at all, it's been today. However, since then there's stuff happening all the time, isn't there? And
there's stuff happening, but you know what? It's regurgitated stuff, and it's quite interesting that I mentioned a moment ago that I was on the channel for 2 hours yesterday talking about a Declan story that I found out this morning was a Declan story that was about 2 or 3 months old, but it was just broken in the way it was broken by Matt Law, the Telegraph journalist or whatever newspaper he writes for, as if it had only just happened. And the interesting thing is, apparently, as we kind of already knew, we already knew that Declan was going to be offered a new contract, and we must have realised that it would be ongoing negotiations. It's just quite interesting why, any journalist would have decided to break it out 2 days before England's most important game.
Are we going to start with the Declan thing then? I mean, I don't know. It's up to you.
Let's do it briefly because I'll tell you what, it was a good show yesterday, and people really sort of gave an awful lot of different views. And We might as well, because I
It's
don't really
easy.
want to go on about it like
I
all
know,
night.
but the tough thing you've got with that is, I mean, I genuinely was going to do a show last night on the Declan situation and give my kind of spin on it. But you could go on about this a lot, to be honest, and no wonder like why you can. So obviously for people that have tuned in, and if they didn't watch Stell's show yesterday, to cut a long story short, rumours were breaking. Estelle has said that a couple of journalists have said that Declan Rice has knocked back a couple of contracts, and I think. From West Ham, and I think a few bits of more information was coming out from these reporters stating that Declan Rice was also wanting to be told if an offer was coming in for over a certain value.
That's the only part we can't corroborate. We can confirm that it was definite that negotiations are taking place.
Well, I don't know if we can still. I mean, listen. I don't know where I'm at with it. This is why I was trying to kind of say yesterday. I really don't know if I can confirm that, to be honest, because.
Well, we've been told. You and I have actually been told that it's negotiations have been happening, and
that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but
he's
it's
our best
the other
player.
part.
Yeah,
but it's the other part that we can't confirm that he's asked, or his agents have asked, or his dad have asked to be told about any offer that is £60 million or more.
Yeah,
that we can't confirm.
But also, I don't deny for a second that because even if Declan has knocked back contract offers, it doesn't mean that Declan wants to leave. It's because he's got an agent who I think is his dad's involved heavily, and the situation is that he wants the best for his son. Therefore, there's more to the story than just someone turning around and going, Declan's going to go. Because if you even read the journalist comments, they state that if his value was £70 million, then it would potentially be a different ballgame. But his value isn't £70 million.
Exactly.
And right now, still, his value is creeping up.
Yeah,
game after game.
And what this journalist also did was he almost mocked West Ham for having the temerity to suggest that we wanted £100 million or more for Declan Rice. We have every right to ask for whatever value we think he's worth, just like every club has every right to ask for whatever value their player is worth. And if a team wants him and they want to pay £100 million, and if Declan wants to go, then fine. And it's just like Michael's just said here, if no player is bigger than the club, and that's absolutely right. And if Moyes wants to sell him and get in the money and bring in 4 players that want to play for the shirt, then let him do it. Now, let's be honest though. Let's be clear. And even Stuart Pearce said it in an interview today with TalkSport. Was it today or yesterday or whatever? That Declan is happy. Declan is looking forward to what David Moyes is going to do with the squad. He's looking forward to see what we're going to do, what players we're going to bring in, etc. That doesn't sound to me like a player that wants to leave. So there's absolutely no reason to believe that Declan himself is pushing to go. But the way it's been twisted, it seems to suggest that I mean, if Declan wants to go.
But if you put it all out on the table and try and work it out yourself, right? You've got a boy who was released by Chelsea, who West Ham have brought through the ranks and turned into this absolute top-notch player. He's getting recognition everywhere he plays. I mean, the game against Germany was a prime example of, I thought Declan Rice had a good tournament, but that was the pinnacle of what he can do. Especially when he was on a yellow card in the first 8 minutes. Still, he just continued performing tackle after tackle, move after move. So you've got a player there who then is integrating with other players who are, say, the likes of Maguire's, who are at Man United playing in Europa League finals, and then playing with Sterling's at Man City, who's winning tournaments. And then you've got other players like Mason Mount, who's just won the Champions League. So if you're in and around that, right, and me and you are looking at it as from an outsider's point of view, we can sit there and go, well, I can understand why you would look at those players and go, well, you've just won the Champions League, my best mate. Harry Maguire, you've just played in this. Sterling, you've won the Premier League, you've got all these titles, and currently I've got nothing. However, that doesn't mean he still wants to leave. It just means that he's got aspirations to grow in his
He's got
career.
aspirations. And let's not forget, Declan Rice isn't 27 years old who's itching to play in the to play in the Champions League. Declan Rice is 22 years of age and still got, even if we held him to his contract, which is another 3 years, that means even if that happened, he'd still only be 25, which is still ample time to play for a team in the Champions League. So no one is suggesting for a minute that Declan Rice is itching to leave or angling to leave. And I think what's happening is that he just wants, his dad, his agent, wants to get the price that he thinks is reasonable for Declan Rice to be playing his football. And I've read this stuff. I've read an awful lot of stuff and people saying, pay him the money, pay him the money, pay him the money. And yet, at the same time, we're all talking about how desperate it is out there. We talked about this again in the show yesterday, how desperate it is out there because of COVID and everything, and how the world economy has changed. And yet people are still going, pay him the money, pay him whatever he wants. But surely we have to learn our lessons sooner or later, that football has kind of come in line with the rest of the economy of the rest of the world. And we can't keep paying footballers silly money all the time just because we want to keep him. He is worth it. He absolutely is. He is worth whatever. We were told, you and I were told yesterday, he's been offered a lot more than Yarmolenko's on. I don't want to divulge that value, and I'm sure it'll come out in the stories over the next few weeks. But he has been offered more money apparently, and that's what's been turned down because his agent dad thinks he's worth even more. So where do you stop? Where do you draw the line?
And remember, this is secondhand information from us as well. So I'm always mindful of the fact that even though when we get the team news still early, you just don't want to confirm it until it comes out from the horse's mouth. So there could this could be a complete and utter non-story. And let's be honest, before the Euros took place, I think me and you could have predicted we would have done a couple of Declan shows by now, and we've done it. Because we knew he was going to turn up for the tournament and do it.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, I thought we were going to do them for very different reasons. I didn't think we were going to do a show. We knew that his contract was being renegotiated. That was made clear. God knows how long ago. That wasn't breaking news in any way. But I just think it's a little bit disappointing that it's been broken the way it has been. Yeah. It's almost as if journalists are itching to get him to, not only has he probably got the Man United players and the Chelsea players around him going Champions League, etc. But now it's almost like it's as if the journalists want them to want Declan to start thinking that way as well. Yeah, they want to turn. I feel like they want to turn his head, and I think that's the bit that's wrong about it. And I think the timing of it is shit. And I think the fact that this story was actually, these negotiations were done. They weren't done during Euros because I think even Declan said himself, didn't he, the other day? Don't want to be distracted by transfers and all that. Want to focus on England, and so you can bet your bottom dollar all these negotiations were done before Declan even went off to the England squad. But why break it now?
Please don't get offended, anyone who's watching. Like, we're not sitting here going, we're not spinning the story either. We're literally giving you our opinion on it. I mean, I genuinely don't think Declan Rice will leave this summer. However, I will never turn around and say 100%, because if someone turns around and goes, there's 100 million quid, then would you take their hand for that? And this is what I want to bring up the point, and the question I'll ask the chat, and I'll ask you, Stella, as well. £100 million under the likes of Harry Redknapp when we sold Rio Ferdinand, and we had 18, I think it was at the time when we sold him to Leeds, and then he went out and he got the likes of Rigobert Song and Titi Kimara. So it was the wrong recruitment that came in from players. That. Yeah. Whereas if you look at the £100 million, that a potential is hypothetical. If someone bid £100 million and we accepted it, what would Moyes do with that? And the thing I want to quickly add to that is, if you look at the models of other clubs have had to lose their best players and reinvested that in for quality.
Yep. There's two things here. The first thing, I mean, we talked about this again yesterday, is I don't even think David Moyes will be able to spend £100 million, and that's the first thing. Because I think he'll go, I've got 100 million, right, I'm going to go and get this player for 8, this player for 7 million, this player for 15 million. You know what? I'll go and buy a striker for 30 million now. I can afford it. You know, and I'll end up spending. He might end up spending, I don't know, hypothetically, 65 million of it out of 100.
Yeah.
And he'll go, that's it for me. I've got 4 players in. I've strengthened the squad. Let's carry on with the season. But you know what? What will happen is people will turn around and go, the board ain't letting him spend the money. The board won't give him the money. You know, the board have already said, if you sell any players, and clearly we don't want to sell Declan, but if you sell any players, that'll go towards player purchases. And then that's the second part. So that's the first part. I don't think Moyes will even know
Oh
how
God!
to
Right, hold on
spend
a
100
second.
million.
Sorry, we've got a guy in the chat. Let's just get him out. He's gone.
An idiot from the other night.
Gone. Yeah.
And then the second point is we've got to start looking at the model. Again, we touched on it yesterday in the show. We've got to start looking at the model of say, the likes of Leicester. What do Leicester do? Leicester bring in players. They buy them or they nurture them from their youth squad or buy them cheap, 10 million, 5 million or whatever they may pay for them. And then they go and sell them for 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, etc. And then what happens is that allows the manager to have a kitty already there to be able to reinvest in the squad over and over again. And the model that Leicester have got is that they will have a backup player for every player that they've got in the first team. So they will already have a player either in mind or a player in their youth development or whatever it may be, that will just, as soon as they sell a player, another player comes in and fills that role straight away. You look concerned, mate. You all right?
Yeah, no, I'm just reading the chat, just making sure no one else
All right.
is in there.
And that's the model we go with. So surely, if that's the model we go with, we've got to accept it doesn't make us become a selling club if we reinvest in the squad. So surely, if we want to allude to the Leicester City model of how they manage their transfers, surely at some point in the future we're going to have to accept that the likes of Declan Rice will go. It's like Souček. I don't want Souček to go, but if someone comes in and offers 40-50 million pound for Souček, you're going to go, okay, because that's 40-50 million pounds that you're going to be able to reinvest. And one of the things that David Moyes has done is, the reason why it took a little bit of time to sign his contract is he now has control of the scouting at West Ham United. It's now down to him totally as to who he buys and who he sells. And you've seen that from the LASL, kept saying that. You saw that he let Anderson go on a whole season loan when we were short of players. He let Allaire go halfway through the season without another striker coming in. Now, all right, we've got Jesse Lingard, etc. But that shows how much control he now has. His son has come in as a scout, so he's got total control. So I now believe, finally, that if David Moyes agrees to sell Declan for 100 million, I believe he will have all of that money to reinvest in the squad. Paul, hello, mate. I hope you're well.
Just on that point, what gets me is Moyes' son is a scout, just like Sullivan's son, that knows nothing. However, the difference between that and David Moyes' son is, I'm going to sneeze here still.
You go and sneeze, mate.
Oh, it's gone. It's coming back. Oh, bless me.
Bless you.
The situation is that David Moyes...
People did say, please don't yawn and please don't pick your nose on.
I don't pick my nose, I rub it, but I've got a beard and it's just in my way, and hay fever.
Well, I've got a beard and I don't keep doing that all the bloody time, do I?
Yeah, no, you're fine. You do a lot of other stuff that's wrong. Anyway, David Moyes' son used to work for, I think it was like a sports talent organisation that looks after really high talented players. I think there's upwards of 10 reported links to West Ham that David Moyes' son, old company he used to work for, is on the books of that company. So I don't think it's a bad thing, to be honest, that he's on the books. And he said from day one he wants to resolve the whole scouting system and stuff like that. So he's gone ahead and brought him in, and he's done the job. So fair play.
And here's 4 players that are on their books.
Yeah. Well, hold on a minute. I'll give you some more. Are you ready for this? Laporte, Harvey Barnes, John Stones, Valverde. So there's a lot of other bigger players there. You just didn't have you just didn't go and do your research there still well enough.
Well, there you go. There you go. I'm glad you stood in and did the right research for me, mate.
So yeah, on the Declan Rice situation, for me, to be honest, I think we could put. I mean, I don't want to. This show's not just about that, but for me personally, I'm not worried. I'm not worried if someone comes in, pays £100 million, and he does go. I'm not going to get pissed off, because if Leicester City had a Declan Rice, they would sell him for £100 million. If all the player teams at that level, to be honest, still, I think Man United would sell a Declan Rice for £100 million.
I think at the moment, in all honesty, let's be clear. Declan Rice ain't going this summer. That's for sure. But there's absolutely no saying that he'll be here this time next year, because it's all going to boil down to how well we do in. And again, we talked about this in the show yesterday. It all boils down to what kind of season we have next season. If we have a really good season, I mean, if we have a really good season and we're within touching distance again of Champions League, and we do really well in the Europa League, and we win a domestic cup or whatever it is, you know, Declan's going to probably, and then of course see what players come in. You know, of course there'll be teams that are going to want Declan. Of course there will be. There will always be teams that want him, and he'll just get better and better. Let's not forget, next season and next year is going to be the World Cup, and he'll go and smash it in the World Cup as well, and his value will go up to £180 million. You know, but he will do well, and he'll still be young, and there'll be teams like Man United and Chelsea and Liverpool and all these other teams that will want him, and there will come a point where we've got to accept the fact that he may have to go. You know, not because we want him to go, but he may have to go for his own development. But if we do well,
and that's the thing about what we've got to do, and this is the thing about the believing and what Moyes is doing is building upon something that, you know, I said this to you still, I don't know how many more times, but when I think about David Moyes and what he said about West Ham, I completely believe it. I genuinely believe it. He's not rushing into things. He's not panicking. You know, how many comments? I mean, I was on Twitter the other day and people were like, "It's a disgrace that David Moyes is overdoing his scouting badges." And one person wrote, "I guarantee he won't be back on the first day of pre-season." And what do you see still? What do you see the first day of pre-season? Look.
Oh, look, mate. Look, there's people out there that just wanna be on a downer about everything.
But
you know,
I want
David
to bring that
Moyes
up.
ain't going to sign his contract. David Moyes ain't going to do this. We're going to sell Declan. We're not going to reinvest in the squad. There's a feeling for me, and I've got to be honest, I was quite a doom and gloomer for a long time, especially when we're fighting relegation. Of course, you can't feel you can't help that. But like you've said, and I've said it as well, he's changed my whole perspective on him as a manager and about West Ham United. Have you noticed that the owners? Let's just deal with this comment first. Zach, how did we feel about Leicester signing three players, and we're talking about Declan's future? I'm calm about it. If we haven't signed a player by this time next month, at the end of this month, I'd start panicking. If by the end of July we haven't signed at least one player, I'd start to worry then. But David Moyes has changed my whole perception about him as a manager. And he's changed my whole perception about, you know, the way West Ham is being run. Have you noticed the owners are keeping their mouths shut? They're not saying much at the moment. They're keeping their mouths shut. They you know, and rightly so. They're letting the manager just get on with it. They've agreed to him developing a scouting system. Look how many young players we brought in, and you look how many young players we've signed extended contracts for. You know, I quoted 10 players. I think it was 10 players. In the West Ham Weekly on Monday, you know, 5 of them we bought new players in the past 4 or 5 few months, and 5 top of our young players we've got them on extended contracts. So we've got almost a player for every position. Longello, Baptiste, Alese, Alves. You know, we bought Oko Flex in, we bought Equa in. You know, we bought a number of players in, and also we've David Moyes is what he's doing is he's building the foundation from the youth squad, and he's saying, this is your opportunity. You most of them have got 2 or 3 year contracts. This is your opportunity now to show me what you're capable of to make the first team, because we've got an aging squad. It's for you to come in So I don't have to spend the money. I can bring in youth, just like we've done, just like the academy has been renowned for, and that will be the Leicester type model. And bring in, of course, that he'll always buy players, but he'll want to supplement with youth as well. And and for me, David Moyes is doing that. David Moyes has brought the under 23s to train closer with the senior squad. He can see them. You know, they're not training elsewhere. They're training where the senior squad is. He can see what's going on. That's all. David Moyes has done all that. You know, and he's done that in a year and a half. And it's quite an interesting turnaround. And look at the camaraderie and everything. David Moyes has done all that. So I believe in him. You know, and I think he will get the players that we need, and we don't have to keep worrying about other teams signing players whilst we.
But it's only been Leicester. I mean, it has only been Leicester, and I know they've signed one player that we were supposedly linked to. And like you said, still the other day, we'll never know really who was on his real list of players that we are linked to, you know, unless an agent or a player speaks out, and or if West Ham speak out and say that we're definitely interested in him. So yes, when I look at Daka, I think, well, there was a player there for 20 odd million quid. Why? A question I ask myself is, why do we not go for him? However, why did not many other Premier League teams go for him either? Because that
22
price you
million
thought,
is cheap. I'm really surprised.
It's cheap. It's cheap because people could even turn around and go, it's a risk because he's played in the Austrian league. There's no guarantee he'll play at the highest level, and there is no guarantee he'll play at the highest level. However, £22 million is not a bad shout. There has been flops that have done it and came in and not performed at that level. It's easy for people to turn around and look at a player's career and go, he scored 60 goals in 90 games or whatever it is he scored. But how many times, though, still have people been linked to, say, players from the Scottish League and slagged off players from the Scottish League and gone, he'll never make it in the Premier League? And there's kind of no, I think off the top of my head, and I don't watch the Scottish League, but if I had to really make a comparison, I wouldn't be surprised if the Scottish League and the Austrian League are on par. Maybe not their full system from top Premier League all the way through to the bottom, but I reckon their equivalent Premier League is probably a similar standard. So does that mean that Daka's value is about right? And we're getting carried away because we look at the statistics, etc. Anyway, there's a talent there that looks like he fits the system at what Moyes does. Am I annoyed we never got him? Yes. But am I going to cry over it? No. Why? Because we've got shitloads more people we can go for, and I trust in Moyes.
This is the question I asked. You know, if David Moyes really wanted him, I mean, I know we heard stories that Daka said he didn't want to come to West Ham anyway, and he was talking about going to a bigger club. Well, he's gone to another club that's in Europa League. And so are Leicester bigger than us? You know, I don't know. I'd question that. They've done better than us in the past few seasons, but are they a bigger club than us? I don't know. But Daka's kind of like fallen on his own sword. You know,
Gareth, I just want sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I don't know for a fact. I don't keep an eye on the Austrian League, to be honest, and I don't really keep an eye on the Scottish League, but I can only make a comparison. Sorry, I have to base my opinion on something. Is it not to do with what the UEFA rankings are for what countries get Champions League spots? So I think Scotland only get one automatic Champions League spot with a second place playoff option. Right. I think Austria is similar. That's where my comparisons are made. Sorry, I just had to clear that one up.
Yep, cool. You know, I mean, I like Daka. He looks a decent player. Would he fit the system that Moyes plays? I don't know. You know, we all know he would rather have an Antonio number 2. You know, a clone of Antonio. So is Daka a clone of Antonio? I don't know, mate. I've got to be honest. You know, on paper, well, not on paper. You know, the stats prove that he's done it in the Austrian league. He's done really, really well. And let's see if he can do it in the Premier League. And perhaps the way Leicester play might suit him more there than it would West Ham. Because if Moyes really wanted him, I'm sure he would have put in a bid for him. But we haven't heard of any bids that were put in and were rejected. The only bid that we've heard about is the bid that went in for El Naziri in January.
And Tarkowski.
You know, and Tarkowski last summer. Yeah, and that's it.
So just quickly addressing this one from Hammerwell. Leicester City are better run than us and better training ground and setup. Listen, I'm not even going to shy away from what I'm about to say. I do agree with that. I do agree with the whole way that Leicester's run. I'm not I'm not using this as an opportunity to slag off our board in any means whatsoever. So taking away that, looking in from an outsider's point of view, they've got the relationship with their fans nailed still. They do. They look after the fans. They give them this. They give them
Without a
that.
shadow of a doubt,
It's great. Their training setup is an absolute no-brainer. And what they've done is built upon their Premier League win, knowing that farewell, they're not going to win the Premier League straight after it, year in, year out. However, they're going to have to compete. So what they've got to do to compete is look after their bread and butter. And if they have to sell for the money that we've just been talking about to reinvest into the squad, or take that money and reinvest in the training centre. And then when you've got players that come and visit your training centre for negotiations, and they look at porter cabins that West Ham have got, or they look at the setup that Leicester have got, then, I'm just...
No, yeah.
But
I've also, this was discussed some time ago as well. Forget what the exterior looks like, because it looks wonderful. I won't deny. But apparently, and I've not been in there, so I can only go by what we're told, these porter cabins are fitted with state-of-the-art equipment.
I don't deny
that.
No, I don't deny that for a second. I think that but there definitely is no comparison, no style. Yeah, they might have all the right gear and maybe this and that, but the whole kind of feel for when your players come to training, if you walk into that, and then when you do see the internals, it's definitely not the same. It's definitely. Yeah.
What they should do is every new player, they should blindfold them and walk them inside the porter cabins before they see the outside, so that they can see it's all good.
Yeah, there are loads of comments there as well. Sorry, yeah.
We'll get to them. This is a good point, Jordan. Again, it's something that we touched on. If Rice is on 60 grand a week and he wants 150 grand, he better sign a huge contract extension of an extra few years. So when he does move on to a big club, we can see a fee for him. And this might be one of the bugbears, because we've been led to believe he's been offered big money. But maybe that's exactly what the board have done, and rightly so. If we're going to treble his money or double it, more than double his money or whatever, surely you'll turn around to your asset and go, we're going to give you a massive pay rise. You're going to be the best paid player at the club, but we want you to commit another 2 years on top of the contract that you got. That would be right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you can't turn around. I mean, I've seen people today saying that you need to pay Declan Rice 200 grand a week, right? That's fine if he's in modern day football, I don't believe any footballer should be on 200k a week. However, there are players that are on 200k a week. So what Declan Rice does as a player, i.e., being the best player in what he does, he definitely warrants being one of the highest paid players in the Premier League. If that means he's got to be 200k a week, that's fine. At West Ham, no. Why? Because the gap that creates with the rest of the squad could probably have a massive impact on the rest of the squad. So if you're then catapulting Declan Rice from here to there, where you're off the screen, and your next players are here, and here, it doesn't have that knock-on effect to the rest of them. And then they start to think, well, I'm on 40k a week, he's on 200k a week, I need to beat myself up there. And West Ham have had a system of making get ourselves into bother when we just go, do you know what? I'll just sign Yarmolenko and pay him 120 grand a week. Do you know what? We'll just sign Chicharito and pay him this, but we won't utilise him. We won't look if they fit into the team, the squad. We'll just pay them the money. So when people turn around on social media in particular and say, pay him what he wants, yes, but within our budget, within reason, within what we can afford as a club. Declan Rice, in my opinion, still should be our best played player.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely there's no ifs and buts about it. There's no denying it. But you're absolutely right. That creates a domino effect, and it's what we said earlier on. The world's a different place now. So surely that trend has got to break in some way. We've heard about the TV money. And the TV money might not be drying up, but the TV companies may not want to pay as much for the rights of football next time it's negotiated, which means there'll be a reduction in the money that goes around. There's got to be a break in this at some point sooner or later. This cannot continue where overinflated wages, etc. And I'm not saying it should start at Declan. I'm just saying in general, in football in general, it's got to stop. And what's wrong in maybe the board turning around to Declan and going, or any player. I know we've heard of Sufal today. Apparently he's not happy with the offer he's been made. and stuff like that. So why should the board, or why should every Premier League board, why shouldn't they turn around to players and go, look, I'll tell you what we do. We give you a base salary, a decent base salary, and then the rest of it will be performance related, which will make you the best paid player when you're playing. But when you're injured or when you're out of form and you've been dropped, you go back to your base salary. It's a bit like,
could you imagine being in your job right now that we're in and we had the ability to negotiate? Like, to the point of the way the players do. Like, we enter a 2-year contract, and like it's just football is that way. It's made that way. So do I think Sufal's sitting at home now going like that? It's a disrespectful offer. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We don't know for a fact what's actually going on, but
Yeah.
in football, players knock back contracts all the time. It does not mean they want to leave. It just means that they want the best for themselves. And why not? There's a fantastic story still about Danny Mills signing for Leeds United when Leeds United went on that big spending
spree. How much do you want?
Yeah. And he sat there and he said when he was in the room, he just went, do you know what? I'm going to say 50k a week, knowing farewell, I will not get 50k a week. And he went 50k a week, and he went, okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
And that's what's wrong with football, and the cycle's got to be broken somehow.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying it should start with Declan, but I think Premier League clubs should get together and go, this is what we do. We put a pay cap, or we do something, or anything that's going to break this cycle, because it just can't go on. If people are saying Declan is worth 200 grand, he's not. I don't think any footballer is. Any footballer that's getting paid 500 grand a week and 200 grand a week and all that sort of money, it's ridiculous money. I'd really like to go to my boss and go, you know what? I think I'm worth 10 grand a week. You're going to pay me that, and I'd just be laughed off the planet. I
would laugh at you as well.
Well, I'm worth at least 15 grand a week, but there you go.
I would laugh at you again.
But in all seriousness, I mean, footballers could become mad, and it's been mad for a long, long time. But and that cycle's got to stop. This is an interesting point, Jordan. We should do a show if we did sell Declan for 100 mil. Do a show on and let the viewers vote on who we could sign. I like that idea.
Or we could even just or we could even just do. We take the budget we think Moyes has got and spend that and see who we think we should do. Do you think we should move on from Declan Rice though, because we've been 37 minutes?
Yeah, let's do, because I did it an hour and a half yesterday, and I was shocked that it went on for an hour and a half.
Look what happened today, everyone. That's my niece. Hi Jay, hope you're well. The squad, West Ham squad, returned to training today, pre-season training, and you can see from that image, you can see God Bonner, you can see Ryan Fredericks, you can see Mikel Antonio, Jared Bowen. Is that Meeple? Odebiku and Lanzini.
Odebiku was there. Odebiku was there. And Zande Silva was back as well.
Oh, that's who that is. That's Sandy Silva.
Zande Silva.
And that's
I did
Lanzini.
see Odebiku in a photo.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did I see? Hang on. Did I see Odebiku in a photo?
I don't think I did actually.
Silva?
Sandy Silva.
It was Sandy Silva, yeah.
Yep.
Sandy
but
Silva.
I suppose one of the biggest talking points of today, which was nice to see, I'm not going to lie to you, it was really nice to see, was this man back in training still. Not Declan Rice, Felipe Anderson. Felipe Anderson was there. He came back from his loan at Porto. He's back at pre-season training with West Ham. Smile on his face, looks happy. What happens now?
Well, he's come to say goodbye, hasn't he? My thoughts on Anderson. I think you don't become shit overnight. And all right, I know what a lot of people are going to go is no, he became shit over a year and a half.
5 pence,
mate. Flagship show on Monday nights. I hope
we'll just get rid of Stell. That's what we think there.
My thoughts on Anderson, but the thing is, Moyes has already made, he's already set the scene that he doesn't want Anderson. Otherwise, he would have let Anderson play last season, and then maybe if it wasn't working, send him out on loan halfway through the season or something like that. If Anderson had 2 years left on his contract, I would say give him a chance this season and see what happens. The problem is he's got a year left, and if West Ham United get offered £7 or £8 million from Lazio or whatever, look, listen to me before you say no. I'm trying to be realistic, and I'm trying to think how Moyes will be thinking, not how you and I will be thinking as fans, but how Moyes will be thinking. David Moyes, if David Moyes fancied him, he would have kept him in the squad last season, and he would have played him. And if it not worked out, he could have loaned him out halfway through the season to wherever. He didn't do that. He decided to get rid of him the whole season. He gave Allaire a chance, and look how many chances Allaire got. And then as soon as he got offered a little bit of money, he got rid of Allaire. We lost £25 million on Sebastian Allaire, and we're likely to lose about £30 million on Anderson if we sell him for about 8 or 9 million. It's not what I want, but I think given that Moyes has now got that, he has now done it once already with Allaire, for letting Allaire, but mate, don't forget, in January, we were hitting form, and we were talking about what's going to happen with the second half of the season if we get injuries and worrying. And we were like patting ourselves on the back, going, you know what? It's brilliant. We haven't had any injuries, and it's been great. It's been fantastic. We're going to go all season without injuries. And look what happened after January window closed. We started to get injuries. And yet he let Allaire go. And I know a lot of people didn't like Allaire. I thought Allaire was good. I think Allaire would have scored 10 goals this season, which could have made the difference between us being in the Champions League or not. Even if he came off the bench, but he let Allaire go, and I think that's what he'll do with Anderson as well. Unfortunately,
I get your point on Anderson. However, I think there's a lot more things to build into that story. Is when he did leave West Ham initially, he was given a bit of pre-season, and he was looking good in pre-season. He was looking good in the League Cup when he was getting a chance. Then some other stuff happened in his personal life, and that had a negative impact on him. So obviously, Moyes, Porto, he's got it at Porto. It's not worked out for him there. I just get the vibe that, if I'm David Moyes, I do look for those players that you can unearth and find their original ability, their talent. He's done it so many times now. And if there's, I'm repeating myself, but if there's a manager that can get the best out of Felipe Anderson, it's going to be Moyes. Now, what I'm intrigued to know is, I don't know if Moyes has made his mind up. So I know me and you are speculating what we think, right? You think he probably has, and I think he probably hasn't, but is edging on to the world of probably has. But I think he's maybe going to be willing to see where his head's at, what his training's like. Because if Felipe Anderson turns up to training and doing, we all know he's not a bad egg. We know he's not going in that changing room and being controversial. The only thing we think Felipe Anderson's doing is just not turning up in his head. Like, he's not there. He's lost a bit of whatever he was when he came to West Ham initially. And if Moyes can find that and regenerate that, for me...
But then my question is, mate, why didn't Moyes do that last season?
Because I think things happened in his life that impacted it. A little bit like when you look at the Arnautovic when he was at West Ham, or if you think about Jesse Lingard still. I mean, honestly... People have to rewind themselves back to when we signed Jesse Lingard on loan. People were going mental. The fan base was raging, utterly gutted that we signed Jesse Lingard. And no word of a lie, I'm not going to lie about what I'm about to say either. I try and see the positive in situations, and most things I do. It's not a great trait, but I try my best to see the positive in things. So a year ago, before we signed Jesse Lingard, I put it in the group chat that we're in, that you're not in anymore, and I put it in there, and I got laughed at heavily. But I thought to myself, well, if you've got a player that's performed at that level for so long, you just don't go rotten overnight. You don't go rotten overnight. And in football terms, overnight means a season. You just can't be rotten for a season and be rotten for the rest of your career, because you've got something in your tank. And that's what I think with Felipe is. It's whether or not Moyes thinks he can get that out of him. So for me, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 million pounds is not enough for me for us to take a risk on keeping Felipe Anderson to see what could he do. Because still, there's been occasions, if we can put Felipe Anderson in that number 9 role with 20 minutes to go and he's playing well, he'll cause fucking mayhem.
I read a comment somewhere earlier today, I can't remember where, and someone said, play him in the Lingard role. Play him in the Lingard role. Don't tell him like Moyes expects. Have you noticed Lingard? I've got to put this up before we carry on. From Darren, Anton, can you set the record straight if you're from Scotland or not? Unsure on the accent and if Stella's just on the wind up.
I'm from Cyprus, mate. Stell's from Scotland.
Someone said, I don't know where the comment was. I can't remember where I read it, but someone said play Anderson in the Lingard role. If you've noticed, Lingard doesn't get told come and defend, and Anderson. One of the things Anderson had to keep doing, playing on the left side, was having to drop and defend and help defend. And people kept saying, "Oh, he doesn't do anything." He used to do an awful lot of defending the first season he was here. You know, he did an awful lot of tracking back. But one thing he doesn't do, he doesn't put his foot in. He's shit scared to put his foot in, which we know. But if we gave him a similar role that Jesse Lingard has got, I wonder how he'd do. I think
he would be brilliant. And I agree. I think West Ham's biggest problem with Felipe Anderson was always playing him on the left. We should never have played him on the left. His best form, most of his best form and best play was when he was playing through the middle. I know he scored goals from the left-hand side in his first season, but when his second season under Pellegrini, he had a really nice bit of form over the Christmas-winter period, and he was playing in behind Chicharito, and he was feeding off everything. He was running forward, and still, I remember me, you, Alf, Dan. We were watching the Liverpool game just before COVID. He was playing, and we saw what other. I'm not saying everyone in the world didn't see it. I think other people saw what we saw, which was he feared. Liverpool feared Felipe Anderson, so they.
You remember the game we played before that? We played Man City, and we fucking gave in.
Handed it to them,
Handed it to them because we had Antonio up on his own and the nearest player to him was 40 yards away. And then we went to Liverpool and Pellegrini changed the system and he played Anderson just off. He told basically Anderson was more or less on the halfway line. And when we broke, was it Moyes? Sorry. When we broke, Antonio had support. So Anderson would take it and run with it. And then there were two. Almost terrorizing the Liverpool team, and I tell you, and I still maintain this. One of the best games I ever saw Anderson play. I can't remember if it was the second season he was with us or the first season, and I think we had Arsenal one of the first games away, and Anderson played in the middle of the park. This was under Pellegrini. He played as like not number 10, but he played in the middle of the park. And all right, we lost the game, but he looked brilliant. He looked absolutely. He was free. It was like just go up there and just go and just run at the team. And he's got that in his locker. And the only thing that worries me, like I say, is because he's got 1 year left. Now maybe what Moyes can do, but then we still won't get any money for him if this happens. Maybe what Moyes can do is give him until the winter transfer window, and see what he can offer. And then if it doesn't work out,
and there's going to be plenty of games for Anderson to play. I seen a comment there. I think Benrahma would be better in Lingard role than Anderson Lanzini. Also, the point I'm trying to make is I think there's going to be room for these players in the squad. I don't doubt for a second there's going to be room for these players in the squad, and I think that's why I would keep. I think West Ham will sign players. I don't think we'll sign 7. I think what we're going to do is bring back. There's no way we're going to sign 7 players. I think we're going to bring back, and if we're going to sell people, it will only be 1 or 2, and it will be to get some much needed wages if they need it, or any form of fee. I mean, if you've got to think about, I wonder what fee Yarmolenko would go for, considering he's had a good Euros just now. There'll be a club out there that might be. I'm not saying it will happen. But sometimes what you do find is, Shaqiri scored again for Switzerland tonight, and what happens is, there are clubs out there still that do look at the Euros and do sign players on the basis of what the Euros is. And I've done a video about players in the Euros, in particular about Yarmolenko, saying that what happens if Yarmolenko does have a good Euros? Things like the Euros and World Cups can actually re-kickstart a player's career again. And that, and he's played Yarmolenko. I know he came off injured in the 90th minute, but he's going to be fine apparently for the England game tomorrow. But he's played 5 games consecutively, 90 minutes, not a problem at all. And he's looked good. He's looked brilliant. Well, and he kicks the ball with his left foot and never touches it on his right foot.
As people keep saying, there's a completely different Yarmolenko that plays for the Ukraine as opposed to the one that plays for West Ham. But the irony is it's not that he's ever played shit for West Ham. He just can't stay fit.
Yeah.
He keeps getting injured. It's not that he's played shit. So how's Anton so tan for a Scot? You tell me, mate. You tell me.
It's a lovely weather we've got up here.
I want Anderson to stay. I would like Anderson to stay. My gut tells me that Moyes will want to cash in on him. Moyes will probably want to cash in on Yarmolenko, maybe Fredericks as well. You know, these bit part players, and just scrape whatever he can between those sales in order to bolster his transfer kitty. I think Anderson can do a job for us. I really do think he can. I think the big mistake was that someone. I'm going to bring this comment up again because it's a good point if I can find it. Anderson had, if Anderson had mental health issues, then I think Karen Brady will stick by him. Now, this is what we've been led to believe. We've been led to believe that things in his private life impacted on his playing, and before anyone goes, well, they should get their shit together, etc. Let's not forget what Jesse Lingard went through, and even he said coming to West Ham, coming out of that environment and going somewhere different, gave him that new lease of life and you know his love for football again. Maybe, just maybe, that's what Moyes was thinking. I'll send Anderson out on loan, and maybe he'll get his hunger back for the game again. I just think that the minute that they realised that that deal was not working because the Porto manager didn't want him, they should have taken Anderson out at winter time, either brought him back to West Ham United or loaned him out somewhere else. You know, but they left him there, and I don't think that was good for the player. You know, it certainly wasn't good for us because he's now worth next to nothing.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I'm thinking Moyes doesn't fancy him because
Yeah.
it was so shit at Porto. He was hardly getting any playing time, so shit that at least Moyes could have turned around and gone, do you know what? It ain't working. Anton Tam, what was that come from a bottle?
Newcastle.
Maybe Newcastle Brown. um, and I think it, you know, the fact that it was so shit for him, you know, Moyes could have turned around and gone to Porto. You don't want him. You know, I'm short of players. Bring him back. And then he could have given him, you know, a run out at West Ham, but he didn't do that either. Which is
Yeah.
why I think he's not gonna. Unfortunately, he's not gonna keep him.
Still, there's a couple of points I want to cover before, you know, I know we're coming up to the 50th minute, but there is several points I want to cover. So Billy McKinlay has joined the club as David Moyes' assistant, joining all the other assistant coaches, and he was actually announced today. The funny thing is, though, still, you can actually see Billy McKinlay in the corner of this picture, and I wish I'd picked up on it a lot earlier because this picture was released about 2 hours before they actually announced Billy McKinlay came in. But he's in, and that's Moyes completed his coaching staff, and we're hearing that he will make an announcement hopefully soon about director of football and head of recruitment. It looks like they're pretty much going to be tied up. I think we know the director of football is probably going to be, is it Alan Irvine, do we think?
No.
Sorry, it's not. No, he's not. No, it's not. That's right. Sorry, yeah.
Apparently, he's not having a director of football. He's going to have a head of recruitment.
Head of recruitment, yeah.
Fuck knows what the difference is, but there you go. And it ain't going to be Alan Irvine either. You know, apparently Alan Irvine's going to stay as a technical advisor. So, and this is part of David Moyes' recruitment, scouting recruitment. He's going to bring in a head of recruitment. Let's hope it's not his brother who brought in Hugh Gill. Otherwise, there will be murder.
Well, everyone makes mistakes, and still, you know that one for an example. You make plenty of mistakes, so you've got to learn from them, and you are learning from them, and you're doing well. And I'm really proud of what you've achieved. So you've done, honestly, still, you've done really, really, really well in the training that I've given you. I've sent him.
Honestly, people, it's much better when I'm on my own because he talks such bollocks. It's unbelievable.
But anyway, listen, it's good news that he's got his coaching set up, sorted, and he's ready to rock and roll. And Moyes is there on day one. He's there. He's coaching with all the lads, and it's good to see. He's come back from his Euro trip and a nice little holiday wherever he was. But I think his Euro trip realistically was probably in the UK because most of the games were in England and Scotland. I think a lot of people forgot that. I think people thought he was traveling to Russia and then he was traveling this and that and all this, but he was pretty much in the UK most of the time anyway. Then obviously you've got other players that are kicking about. You've got Ben Johnson, Creswell, Godbona.
You notice there's not a lot of players back and no youngsters either at the moment.
Well, I think there are a lot more players there. However, what happens is when you do the socials, once a week, I think the admin of the social account goes to the fan base for the next 5 minutes, comment with what players you want to see.
Just want to answer this. Jordan, you're clearly not watching our shows, mate. We've already done a show on Giovanni Simeone. He's not coming either. We've made no loan offer, but we did do a show. Did you do it or did I do it? I can't remember. But anyway,
that was you.
Was it me?
Yep.
Yeah, well, you might be right, but it didn't look like there was a lot of players training there today.
No, I know, because I think we got to see only images like this, etc. But there's a couple of videos out there, and they do look busier, so there is a few more players there. But I think they were focusing on that. We've got this man, Mark Noble, heading for his 18th season at West Ham, 18th and final.
Oh, you're going to say his 80th birthday for a minute. I thought you...
So it's going to be a big season. I think we're going to we will need him. We will need him for this season. The big man himself, Beast Mode, turned up. Antonio, I mean, look at him; he's in good shape.
Oh, and there's news on him as well. He has not been picked for the Jamaica squad.
He is not. No.
Yeah, that's so he's been let down yet again. I think it's great. With no disrespect to him, I think it's great news for West Ham that he's not going to go and play in the Gold Cup. But yeah, he's not been selected for the squad.
Jared Bowen's there.
He's going to smash it next season, people. Bowen.
There is
highly
a comment,
underrated footballer.
Yeah, there is a comment up here though. I want to try and grab and just see if I can find it, and it's related to the Juventus comment that was made today, and he name dropped West Ham for a potential club going into liquidation. I don't know if you've seen this still.
The Italian guy from Juventus.
Yeah,
he mentioned us alongside Barcelona and all that sort of stuff. I don't know why he decided to pick our name. I mean,
so I think what's happened is I don't know. I think that it seems to be the impression I get is Juventus are still frontline and centre with regards to the Super League, and they probably are getting questioned quite a lot. And what he's done is probably tried to deflect it and name dropped West Ham in with about, I've got it here, Barcelona, Inter Milan, West Ham, Porto were some of the clubs that he named as clubs that were potentially going to go into liquidation. However, just to eradicate that, because honestly, I don't even know, I'm the same as you, I don't even know why I looked at the Twitter account and just read people going, now we're going to be in liquidation and we can't sign Declan Rice and we can't sign Sufal. Let's get the board out. Like, I don't like the board, but I mean, come on. I mean,
people, if you do one thing in your lives, get rid of your Twitter accounts. I tell you now, you will be happier people for it. Get rid of Twitter. Don't go on that fucking chat site, because it is just toxic.
We've got a Twitter account for Irons United that we use just to feed information out from. But I try my best sometimes not to look into it. Sometimes you find yourself trapped if you see something and read something, and then you're like, and then it spirals into other heads of weird control. Like people just come up with literally whatever they want, and it just goes wild. It literally goes wild, some of the stuff that's said. But
because you cannot reason with people, and people want to get on that bandwagon, and the minute something happens and there's one negative post, you guarantee within 10 minutes there's going to be 100 negative posts. And everyone loves to get on top of it, and like they want to be doom and gloom, and they want to just get involved in that fucking pile of shit that is Twitter. It really is shit.
I want to reiterate though, I think it could be used in a different manner. It just depends on what. Maybe we should just try and unfollow as many people as we possibly can on it, and then maybe we wouldn't see the things that we don't want to see. But the point I'm trying to make about this story is that worst case scenario, if West Ham found themselves in a really, really, really bad situation, let's have a look at what we've got that we can sell. Assets are players. Players create income. Income is 100 million for Declan Rice. Whatever money, start selling your players, and you will not lose your club. But we're not in that situation. Do I think West Ham are run fantastically well? No, but we're not going to be in that situation. I think there's going to be other clubs a lot before us that there will be.
Yeah, I kind of laughed. I thought, oh, finally we're being talked about as one of the elite clubs, and then we're being talked about like
going out of business,
liquidation.
Yeah. Still, we're hitting on the hour mark. So my last point I'm going to address.
Last point. People are expecting a show, Anton.
Mate, I know,
People are
but
expecting a show, mate.
yeah.
What do you mean your last point? Last point?
Let me go on to it. The big game tomorrow, Ukraine, England. The big quarterfinal. So let's talk about today's games.
After seeing
let's
Italy
talk about today's games. Yeah,
Italy are just brilliant. What a great tactical team they are.
Yeah,
you know, Spain. I think we're lucky. I think the Swiss. Spain
let's
got away
talk
with
about Spain very briefly. I agree with you. I think they did get away with it. I think they were lucky, and I don't fear Spain. I actually fear Ukraine more than I fear Spain.
You say again?
I fear the Ukraine more than I fear Spain.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, we got to get past Ukraine before we start talking about who we might be playing next.
But that's my point. I think
yeah. I think the Ukraine game ain't going to be easy tomorrow. They're going to be tough. It's like how can we? What team can we allude it to in the Premier League? It's like going to play against some really
Brighton,
like a Brighton. Yeah. You kind of you should be beating them, but if you walk away with it,
and you're uneasy.
yeah.
And
so we've got to get past them first. But if we do get past them,
fair play to Switzerland. I thought they put on a good show. I think they looked good. I think they looked like a good unit. They've got a good team, and I think they've got good opportunities moving forward. I think they were actually kind of unlucky in that game. Penalties is just the way it works, isn't it? Still, it's just what happens. Then Italy took on Belgium. In the second half, though, I mean, Belgium, some of the chances, mate. I mean, that clearance from that Italian defender off the line when Lukaku just had to tap it.
Came off his arse, yeah.
It was unbelievable. And
what a great player he is, the number 4 that will have to go off. He's fucking decent.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? And it's really funny because, I've said this before, and it was and the comment was made during the game. The Italians love defending. The Italians absolutely love defending, and they showed their class today. Not only were they technically good. Okay, let's go on to Spain. Spain, I think, were lucky. I think Switzerland were unlucky. Things didn't go their way. And I don't think there's anything to fear from Spain, to be really honest with you. And then with the Italy-Belgian game, the Belgians are meant to be number 1, FIFA ranked number 1, and the Italians, I think, were technically better. They're technically better than them. And the Italians were passing the ball around confidently, and there were long moments in the game where the Belgians didn't get the ball. It was almost as if like the Belgians could only play if they hit on the counter attack. And you're right, they had several chances. Now people are suggesting that the Belgians were wasteful. Do you think with the chances we create that we'll beat them if we get there? I'd love to think so, but I'm not sure. But we've got to get past this lot first. We've got to get past. Of course we do.
I tell you what, the game against Germany came at the right time for England. They still didn't perform like excitingly, like it wasn't like the best looking football I've ever saw. But the second half was better. I think we were structured, and let's be honest, still we haven't conceded a goal in the tournament, and it's a good base to build from. And Harry Kane's just went and bagged himself a goal, and he doesn't even look. And I know what you're saying about him, and he doesn't look himself at all. He doesn't. However, when your captain and your main man who scores shed loads of goals season in and season out, and has done for England, out of the blue, doesn't play well but scores a goal, that's what you want from a striker, to do that. And I know you don't like him as well, Jack Grealish. I know you don't like him, mate, but he came on and he changed it. He changed the game. He did.
Yeah. Okay. But he won't start tomorrow.
Well, apparently, though,
I'll tell you something.
But there's rumours though saying that Saka's not going to make the game tomorrow. He's injured. Right. I don't think he was going to start anyway. And I think there is a chance that he's going to shore up that defence a bit as well. So I think there might be a couple of changes for the game tomorrow.
I think there might be. I think what we've got to do with Ukraine is we've got to go. We've got to be at them tomorrow, because they're kind of a physical team, typical Eastern European team. They're quite physical, and they could outmuscle us in a way, if you know what I mean. They might sort of boss us around if we're not careful. So we gotta play to our strengths, and we gotta make them chase us. And I think going for the attack, I think would be kind of the right thing. If Southgate goes a little bit too defensive, I'd be a bit concerned. I'd want us to sort of go at them tomorrow and make them worry about us, not us worry about them. Daniela, you're right. It won't be an easy game. It'll be a hard game tomorrow against them.
I don't doubt, and I think as well that the impact of being in Rome with no fans. I'll be intrigued to know. I think I read something on the news saying that there's 30-odd thousand expats that live in Italy, so they'll be able to get access to tickets.
And 25 of them are people that just rented accommodation around Rome.
And apparently, because Ukraine and Italy have an agreement with the European COVID regulations, the Ukrainians can have and will probably outnumber the England fans tomorrow.
Is that correct? Is that a correct terminology? Ukrainians?
I don't know.
Think it is. I don't think it is.
Ukrainians.
Anyway, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know if it is or not.
But they had when you think about that stadium style, Wembley. That's the season off. It's true.
So true.
But
sorry, go on.
That stadium the other day still, I don't know if you thought what I was sitting there thinking, but I was in absolute awe of what I was witnessing, not just on the park, but actually in the fans. Like, I remember just watching, I think when the first goal went in from Sterling, and they'd done the slow-mo of the celebration, and the fans were standing on the seats and they were falling back into their mates. And it looked absolutely delightful. And I was just sitting there going, I just want it back so bad. But I think we're heading in the right direction. I think it will happen sooner rather than later, hopefully. But
listen, I think we'll beat Ukraine tomorrow. I think we might concede, but I think we'll beat them. And then we'll get into the semi-finals against whoever it might be. I think we'll get to the final. I think we have every chance now that we will get to the final. I don't fear any. The only team I honestly fear is the team that will play in the final, and that'll be Italy. And I'm just a little bit worried that the Italians might be a little bit too smart for us. Belgium are meant to be a top team, and they the Italians controlled that game tonight. They played it to their tempo.
The only thing about the Belgians is that it's a little bit like they can't perform at the highest stage. So yes, they are number one in the world, but
yet they're number one in the world.
Yeah, but these rankings are annoying me sometimes because they're weird the way they're done. Because for me, like they do look good and they look fantastic and they qualify. It's a little bit like, by default, England sit in the top 10, but each tournament, each qualification for the World Cup or for the Euros, England have got San Marino, Moldova, and it's a little bit like the Champions League still. Yes, I'd love West Ham being there, but you've got very Slovenian minnows that you've never heard of that have qualified that are playing Barcelona and they get beat 7-0, and it's not really what you really, I get the point that people were making. It's not really what you signed up for when you go there, but there needs to be a bit of a fairer way of doing it, but I don't know. Belgium are a good team. They've got great players. I think they're maybe number one by default because they've qualified easily. But yeah, I think people have said on paper you would rather England be on that side of the draw. Absolutely. However, we don't work like that still. We don't work like that.
Yeah. On paper means diddly squat. Yeah, it made me laugh, the irony of the people calling the group of death. Why it was the group of death, because every team in that group has gone out.
Yeah.
All right, Hungary, France, the ones that looked, Portugal.
But the only team from that group that looked impressive was bloody Hungary.
Yeah. Exactly. Tomorrow it's going to be
a tough chat game. About Mr. Why is everyone talking about Mr. Bean?
I have no idea. Stuart goes on about Mr. Bean train ride.
Stuart, Kate, explain to me what's Mr. Bean.
Please don't ask.
I know who he is.
We haven't got.
I know who he is. I know who he is, but Why? I just want to know. I've just seen it there, Mr.
I
Bean.
don't know. He puts it up on my show regularly, and we have no idea why. But anyway, we will beat Ukraine tomorrow. I think we'll probably win 3-1 tomorrow.
Right, get your predictions in. Get your predictions in. If you're watching right now, give us your predictions for the Ukraine versus England game. Still, you're saying what?
3-1.
Wow, so you expect? Wow.
Why? Wow.
Just because it's like we've not conceded a goal and we haven't scored more than 2, and I don't know. It's like
We will concede tomorrow. I think we'll concede. We might even go a goal down.
I was going to say 1-0, but
down.
You've convinced me we will concede, so I'm going to say 2-1 England. What are you laughing at?
No, because I'm always right. So that's why
God, yeah.
Mark Mark reckons 3-0. Pat reckons 1-0 after extra time. Cyber reckons 2-0. They won't score. Charlie Boy reckons that went 3-0. Hammerwell 2-1. I don't know. Danny reckons 2-0. So a lot of people are saying we're going to keep a clean sheet. I hope we don't keep it. There's another reason why I kind of don't want us to keep a clean sheet, because I don't want us to get into the final and then concede a goal, and that'll be the only goal, and then all of a sudden we won't know what the bloody hell to do. So at least concede, get it over and done with, and go on and win the game. Glenn, 3-2 to England after England being 3-0 up. 2-1 extra time, Danielle.
I can't take that. Stuart, I couldn't take that because we had that plenty this season. 3-0 up, and then
I think that's why he's.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I just couldn't do it.
14-13 on penalties.
Pickford steps up, takes his gloves off, smashes it in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's never going to be an Adrian, is he? But I've got to be honest with you. He's
Tell you what, mate, he's done well. Yeah, he has.
He's done well.
He really has.
Yeah.
So West Ham have got pre-season game coming up on the 9th, I think
Dundee.
it is, against
second.
Dundee.
No, not second. What am I talking about?
The 9th. It's the 9th,
yeah. Yeah.
So they're playing Miss Minutes in Your Reflection.
What?
I don't know.
Behind you. You're reflecting behind you.
Oh, right, I can see it. Yeah, like there.
People, just before we go, I just want to show you what I told Anton to do in order to to get us rolling for tonight's show.
So here he goes. I've seen it.
So you can see that. Hang on, we've got to come off for this. Hang on a minute. So you saw that, and I said to Anton, "Why don't you delete it? Have you deleted it?"
What are you talking about? What?
Yeah, such a dickhead. Anton nicked it from there. I said, Anton, look at that and try and copy that, mate. And he's done well. He's done really, really well. Well done, mate.
However, what I want to say to you, though, Stella, is even though you didn't do that, I didn't realise that they use Canva for the design. It literally is the same.
Don't give the game away. What we use, mate. It's all meant to be a secret.
Nobody cares. Everyone knows. It's not a secret. But listen,
actually, before we go, people, what do you think of this show? I mean, is it worth doing? It's a late one, but as you can see, there is no script. Whereas, all our other shows, we try and make sure that we give you information about players and transfer stories and all their stats, etc. This is just us talking, bollocks for an hour or so.
It's like you every day.
Well, mate, people listen to my show because it's informative.
Yeah. Yep. Well, they feel sorry for you. So we've got the Dundee game. We've got the Dundee game coming up on the 9th, which is next. What is the 9th? Is that Friday? That's Friday.
Right.
I would love.
That is next week.
Yeah. I would love to have gone to the game. However, they're not allowing away fans into the stadium. They are allowing home fans into the stadium, and you have to be some form of member to be able to get in. So what's happening next week in terms of the channel is I will be at the training setup for pre-season in Scotland. So hopefully I'll be bringing you some live content. I know I'm saying to you on a regular occasion, but what I need to be making you mindful of is I'm not sure what time that show will go out at. It might have to be very random and just literally go live as soon as I know when I am there or speaking to someone. So we'll just have to kind of go with the flow, really, for that show, to be honest. And yeah, West Ham are, I believe they're coming up to Scotland on Monday, starting their full week's training camp.
Like, yeah, Sunday or Monday, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
So
yeah. So we'll have, at least we'll have all that to talk about next week. I'm really looking forward to seeing which of the youngsters are going to go up to Scotland with a senior team. I think that's going to might be quite telling. We started off the show tonight talking about youngsters and
oh, hold on, it's not that one. It's this one. Sorry, Epic. Come on, mate. Are you serious? I think you're turning it. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that's Stell in disguise messaging that.
Daniela, are you going to do a show about the youth and women's teams coming up? In all honesty, we'd love to. I mean, I do try and talk about the youth as often as I can in various shows, and I did promise that as soon as we know which youth players are going up with the team to Scotland, then we'll do a show about the youth only. Which players for that.
It's something we've always wanted to do. Like we had an opportunity before where we were going to launch a kind of show related to the youth setup, completely to the youth setup. We had a couple of lads that were with us a couple of years ago that went to all the games, but it just didn't work out that way. But for us to do that, pretty much in a nutshell, would be just we would have no time to do anything else in our lives. Reporting on West Ham first team is enough, and I'd love to report on the women's team as well, because I know there's been big changes there and loads of players going out the door. So I'd love to be able to
as well.
I'd love to be able to do some stuff on that, but
we try.
It's really time consuming.
Yeah, we try, and I, Daniela, it's not that we want to sort of, it's not that we're not interested in the youth squad or the women's team, but it's what Anton said. How far do you go? If there was another two, if there were another two of me, you'd probably get them quite easily. If there were another two of Anton's, you wouldn't get fuck all. But there you go. But we'll try. What we'll do, what we should do is we'll try and get a few, youth and women's team stories in as often as we can. Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Cool.
There was something else I wanted. So Jordan, you've actually given me a point of view, and it's something I'm going to take from Jake. Jake does it on his show. Before he does it, he sets himself a target still. He sets himself a target. So the target is, I want to get 50 likes by the end of the video. So I'm going to target us to get 100 likes on this video. So if you're watching right now, I don't know. I don't even know how to check. So if you're watching right now, go across to there's a thumbs up, click the thumbs up, and do that now. So that's the target for this video, is 100 thumbs up.
And our target is also tell your friends about the channel, if you hadn't already done so. Hopefully we can get more people on. We'd like to hit 7,000 subscribers by when?
I want 10,000 by the end of the year still.
It ain't happening. So
it will.
7,000 by the end of the year is realistic.
Oh, come on, still.
Anton's
you're away with the fairies, son.
You're away with the fairies. So do tell your friends about the channel, and get them to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Anything else?
We're up to 50. We're up to 50 likes now. That's good. We've got 10 in the last 10 seconds. So
are we going to sit here in silence until we get 100?
No, you can keep talking while I check.
Well, why don't we just, the one thing that we've been putting the comments up, but we haven't been talking about them. So, Hammerwell, anyone know if fans can attend pre-season friendlies? Was thinking of going to the Northampton game. Well, interestingly, what's the game before Northampton? Tell me the game that's on at the same time as Northampton. Because it's a double header. It's gone. But whatever team we're playing, they've already put no, the first game, Dundee, on their web,
Leyton Orient
and Leyton Orient. Dundee and Leyton Orient have put on their websites. Leyton Orient are doing a ballot, but I'm guessing it's only for Leyton Orient fans.
That's what Dundee are doing.
And that's what Dundee are doing as well. So I don't know if we'd be allowed to go to any of the games. I think what they'll do is that they'll offer it to their fans. So Northampton will probably be the same, unfortunately. And the unfortunate thing is all our pre-season games are away. We haven't got one pre-season friendly at home, but we are waiting for confirmation. We normally have a season opener, playing at
Wake up.
yeah, the Betway Cup that we've never won. So we're waiting on that to see what happens then. That might be the first game back, people.
Our pre-season games are as follows: Friday at 1 o'clock, Dundee versus West Ham. Then Tuesday is the Tuesday after that is Northampton, and the same night is Leyton Orient as well. So that'll be a double header split between two games like we did the last time. So we might need to do that if we can, and do a kind of double watch along if we can. We'll do it somehow. Then we play Reading on the 21st of July, and then go to Celtic on the 24th of July. That's the one I'm really hoping that I can try and get something for. However, in Scotland, as it stands, the 19th of July, we're in line with England, but we're not fully releasing all our restrictions until the 9th of August. So we might still have restrictions in place until the 9th of August. Therefore, I might not be able to go to that game. But we'll keep an eye on it and see what's happening.
This is a good suggestion. Daniela and Hammerette do videos. We should get someone to do women's videos. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
And Daniela, is that an okay you would do it? No, don't worry. We're not suggesting you should. All right. What else we got to talk about?
Cyber Leader's annoyed for you not reading a comment. What comment is it?
What comment's that?
Dalek, there he is there. Still, would you take Lingard at 25 million? Apparently he wants to join us. I'm angry.
No. Not for 25 million, no.
You wouldn't sign him for 25?
No, I wouldn't sign him for 25, no.
I would.
No, mate. He's in his last year of his contract. He's in his last year of his contract. He's worth 15 million plus add-ons, and that should be more than ample to get him back at West Ham.
Not for me.
We already paid 4 million to have him on bloody loan.
And look what he done.
Well, I don't care. He might not do that.
We should care.
15 million plus add-ons, I think is reasonable.
No.
Yeah. You don't know much about football anyway, so
yeah.
15 million plus add-ons.
Oh, you're funny. I do like this show actually for taking the mick out of you. It's quite good.
Taking the mick out, mate. People are laughing at you. That's the problem. The unfortunate thing. They're kind of going. Here he goes with his nose. Here he goes with picking his nose.
Itchy. I don't know why. Look, Stella's always angry.
Stella's always
angry. Dalek, this is what I do.
Never angry.
This is what I do. I go into the kitchen. I get some bait, and I just tidy it up nicely there, and I just go like that. And then Stell just goes, oh, he's gone. Look at his face. He can't cope. Look at him.
I can't cope because Stuart's back on Mr. Bean.
Right, listen.
Jordan's saying, I'm going to watch it with you since this is ending. Oh, dear. Charlie boy.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because I don't stick my hand down my arse and sniff it.
Oh.
Stell does, though.
Such a dick. I'd give his role to Benny before I give up 25 million. Good point. There you go. Let Ben Rama play his role. Let Anderson play his role. Let's save 20 million, not bring him back at all. Andon picks his nose when he's angry. And he yawns.
Who's Andon?
Anton. What did I say?
Andon.
Lingard is definitely worth 25 if Allaire was worth 40. Well,
what Clive, son?
I like Clive, but he shouldn't listen to you too often. Otherwise, he wouldn't come out with that sort of shit. Stell supports GSB. No, I don't actually. That's why he doesn't want Lingard. No, I don't want Lingard for 25 million because I think he's worth only 15.
I don't understand that comment, though. That's why he doesn't want Lingard for 25 million. I don't know what that means. I know you're joking, Dalek, but I know you're taking the mick out of Stell, but what I mean is, are you serious about? I don't get the context, actually. Maybe it's just a bit weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been going for an hour and a half now, so
let's do it. Thank you for joining us, and good feedback. So if we're able to do it again, we will. Just keep an eye on the channel. Today is Saturday. I don't think we've got any videos lined up for today. We might do an impromptu one. We've got the England game tonight.
We've got the England game, haven't we?
Yep. So good luck.
I mean, who before we go, who do you want to see get through to play England in the semi-finals? The Czech Republic or damn it, who are they playing? Forgotten.
Denmark.
Denmark. Who would you rather have? Denmark or the Czech Republic? And then we'll leave on that. Denmark, Cyber.
So we're literally just waiting for comments to come through.
Yeah, that's how we've caught up with the show.
Yeah.
Cyber.
There's been so many comments didn't even read.
Hang on. 1 minute, Cyber wants Denmark, and then all of a sudden he wants the Czechs.
Yeah.
So which one is it, mate? The Czech boys. James wants the Czechs. Hammerwell Czechs. Neil the Czechs. You know, Suchek. Would he be the Neil Dander wants the Czechs? Glenn
hi Neil. Good
What
morning,
happens,
good evening, good afternoon. Don't have a clue, but yeah.
What happens though if the Czechs get through and Suchek scores the winning goal against England?
Please, can you make a video that ends before? Well, listen, I'm going to call it quits. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Late Late Show, the West Ham Late Late Show with Stella and Anton. We will be back on possibly tomorrow, maybe Sunday for an impromptu show before we have the daily.
Tomorrow, I'm really not guaranteeing.
No, there's no guarantee. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And what we'll do for when we leave is play you the video of what this show is all about. Thanks for joining us. He's been Stell. I've been Anton. Come on, you Irons. Come on, England.